Hello, my name is Dan Tiniano. I'm the program chair of oral and interpersonal communication here at UAGC. Welcome to my Culture of Care Summit recorded presentation on using AI to create your own guided meditation audio. I'm going to be covering this basically in three parts. First, we will cover actually creating the script for your guided meditation audio according to your needs and interests. Then we'll move on to creating the AI generated narration. And believe me, it's going to sound like a professional narrator did this for you. And finally, we'll see how to put it all together using a free audio editing app. Let's get started. To share a little bit more about myself, again, I'm the program chair of oral and interpersonal communication in the School of General Studies. I oversee COM 200 interpersonal communication and Speech 103 oral communication. I'm also the author of the textbook that's used in the Speech 103 course. I have been with UAGC for a little over 10 years now, and I'm based in Denver, Colorado, where I live with my wife and our two sons. And this is maybe the item of the most interest in terms of this presentation, I'm actually a certified hypnotherapist. Back in 2001, after September 11th, I had been working as the senior researcher for a History Channel program called Secret Passages. And for various reasons related to September 11th, our insurance for international production was pulled, and the production shut down really within a couple weeks. And you may remember at that time there were these great incentives to go back to school and to expand your skill set. And so I had always had this interest in hypnosis, and there was what was at the time the only accredited school of hypnotherapy in the country, the Hypnosis Motivation Institute in California. And I did a one-year program there to become a certified hypnotherapist. Now in Colorado is a licensure state, so I do not have a license to practice in Colorado. So for me, it's really more of a hobby. But what I'm doing in this video, in this sort of process of walking you through doing this for yourself, is based on my understanding both of AI, but also of guided meditation and hypnotherapy. And I certainly hope that you feel that the information included here is useful. And if you have any questions, any comments, or would like to follow up with me, my email address is actually over here on this side, down below me, and I would welcome to hear from you about anything related to this program. Now let's continue. I do want to mention right at the beginning that I've created a much more detailed PDF guide to this process that I hope you will go through in great detail. But basically, you need to create a ChatGPT account. If you want, you could use Microsoft Copilot. There are other tools out there that you may be aware of. But a generative AI tool that lets you create text from your prompt. What you see on the screen here is a generic prompt that you can use and customize to create a starting point of a script for your guided meditation audio. Again, the PDF file gives you a lot of instructions on how to go from this very beginning level of output that you get at the first step. You should plan on going through several stages with your AI tool to get this pretty much to the final form that you want it to be in. And even then, you're going to need to edit it and get it exactly where you want it. You might want to make note from your final script of where you will need to input pauses, because as we move on to generating your narration in the next slide, the fact is that the tool we're going to use has very good sounding audio narration, but it won't intuitively know where to create those pauses. So that's something you will have to do in the editing stage and the final stage of this process. And it would be helpful to note in your script so that you remember to add them in that editing stage where those pauses should go. Let's move on to the next stage. By now, there are almost countless tools that are available in the digisphere that let you take written text and convert it into synthesized speech. The one that I recommend is 11labs.io. I think it's the best combination of ease of use and quality of output. Now, if you're a little bit more of a power user and you're on the Mac OS platform and you have an OpenAI API key, then I recommend looking at the Voices app, which will give you better quality output. But if you didn't understand anything that I just said, then stick with 11 Labs. On the next slide, we'll watch a video that goes through the process of converting text to audio. Let's watch that now. This is 11 Labs, which is my recommended text-to-speech resource. You can also use it for speech-to-speech, which is pretty cool, and I'll show you a little bit later. But in most basic forms, you type something here, you pick a voice, and you get to hear it. And you can preview the voices by clicking on the triangles.
Beginning points of all fortunes. Allow the world to live as it chooses, and allow yourself to live as you choose.
But these are not normal times in our politics. Washington is as divided as ever.
So I'm going to stick with Alice. I'll type something in. And then all I really have to do is click on generate and wait.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day.
So that is all there is to it. You would just paste up to 2,500 characters of your script in at a time, click generate, and then you can download the file over on the right side of the screen. If you don't like any of the many voices that are provided here, you can also go over to Voices and click on Explore. And there are many more, and you can add them to your voice lab. You can add up to 3 with the free account. So let's listen to Phoebe.
Much of our happiness depends on our dispositions, not our circumstances.
And I'll go ahead and I'll add that to the voice lab. I'll call it Phoebe rather. I'll finish and I will go back to speech, and I want to show you speech to speech now. This lets you really get a nuanced performance in someone else's voice by recording yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and click on record audio, and then I'll have to click this. Actually, clicking this button starts recording. Wow, this is amazing. I never dreamed something like this was possible. Technology changes everything. Now I can play that back. You'll hear my voice. Amazing. I never dreamed something like this was possible. Technology changes everything. But now I'm going to select my voice Phoebe, and I'm going to generate that. It will actually count the number of characters, and then you'll hear it in the other voice with my nuanced delivery.
This is amazing. I never dreamed something like this was possible. Technology changes everything.
Now, you lose the accent doing this, unless you can do a good Australian accent, but that no longer sounds like me. Well, it doesn't want to play it.
This is amazing. I never dreamed something like this was possible. Technology changes everything.
Now, the performance and the delivery is much better doing it this way. I don't think that this really applies to a guided meditation audio, but if you wanted a more natural delivery, I personally find it doesn't work for me if I listen to a meditation video that's recorded in my voice. But if you wanted something that was a little more nuanced, you could read your script yourself, and including pauses and things like that, and do a speech to speech. It doesn't use any more of your credits to do it that way. Now, if you need to go over 10,000 credits, which should give you, I would say, at least 7 or 8 minutes of audio, you can get a second account, possibly, or you can wait until your next month until the credits reset, or you can pay, I believe it's $5 a month for the first level of paid account, which gives you 30,000 characters instead of 10,000. So that is 11 Labs using it for speech. You can either do text to speech, which is faster, or speech to speech, which will give you better results, and then just change the voice. Remember that if you do text to speech, the accent will be preserved. If you do speech to speech, you will lose the accent. It will use the intonation and dialect of however you speak. So that is 11 Labs. At this stage, you should have created a number of audio files with your computer synthesized narration from your script. It would be a very good idea to name those files in a way that you can easily identify the order that they go in, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, or A, B, C, D. And now you need to put them all together. To do this, I recommend a free app called Audacity. It is a full-featured audio editor, and it may be a little bit overwhelming if you get stuck in the weeds with it. So on the next slide, I've put together a kind of a starting point walkthrough of how to do this in the way that I think simplifies the process the most. But I do admit that there is a learning curve. And if you've never used this app before, especially if you've never attempted to do any audio editing, you might find the process a little overwhelming. But this is the tool that I recommend. It will give you the best results and output. You may want to add some backing music, like some nice soft meditation music, and I've also included some recommendations on where you can do that. And again, the PDF file that comes with this presentation goes through a lot more detail through this, and I think between that and the video that you watch on the next slide, I think you'll be as well prepared as you could be. But my advice would be give yourself a few practices before you expect to be really comfortable with this process. But by the time you're doing it for the second or third or maybe fourth time, I think you'll be a little bit more confident, and the results you'll get at the end of the process will be better. So let's watch that video. This is the screen that you should see the first time that you load Audacity. I do want to point out that Audacity is a pretty full-featured audio editor, and there's a lot of complexity built in. So just to keep things simple, let's just go with the default layout of the screen, the default settings. And what we're going to do, the most efficient workflow to do this, is to import your 11 Labs audio clips one at a time. I would suggest that because you're limited to 2,500 characters of text that you can convert to audio at one time, you're probably going to be generating 3, 4, 5 pieces of audio that you're going to assemble together in Audacity. So name them in a way that you know which one goes first and second and so on. So the workflow that makes the most sense for Audacity is input your first clip and review it, because the easiest time to add pauses is at that stage. And so I will input by going to the file menu, import audio. I'm going to pick my first piece of audio. And I'm not going to play it back at this point. I just want to show you the basic process of adding some pauses. Your script itself may suggest, like the script may say something like, and now let's take a few moments to just focus on our breathing. And you want to insert 10 seconds of no sound at that point. So if that comes up in your script, make note of that so you can be sure to add the pauses where you know you need them, but also listen to each clip in Audacity and decide where you'd like to add clips. When you know where you want to add a clip, you take the little that little I-beam and you click it in a nice flat spot, in that audio wave, and then you go to the edit menu and you select audio clips split. And that's going to add basically a gap. It's going to split your audio into two pieces. And then you'll drag the part to the left, the part to the right, further to the right. And then maybe you want to add a split here. And you do the same thing, edit, audio clips, split, and drag. So once you've done that, let's maybe add one more here. Once you've done that, you can add another one. And when you're sure you're happy with that first piece of audio, then you can bring in your second. In this case, it's going to be meditation 02. So I'll go back to import audio. I'm going to select the second one. And unfortunately, there's a little bit of extra work to do here because it's going to import it on a second track, but it's much easier to deal with this on the first, all on one track. So drag that second audio clip all the way to the last bit of audio that you have in your first track. And you'll see the look changes a little bit. You see that yellow line appears, then you can drag it up. You probably want to put in a little gap actually there as well. And now you're done with this track. So click on the X and that eliminates that track. Now you'll go through the same process. You'll review this track 2. You'll add the gaps where you think you need them and do that, add the third track, add the gaps, add the fourth track, and so on until you've got it sounding the way you want with the pauses that you want naturally. You can go back and add pauses later. It's just hard to drag a bunch of things that are on the right side of the timeline all at once. It is simpler and more streamlined to completely finish with that 01 audio and then go on to 02. So I'm going to pause the recording here until I have the whole thing built out, and then we will continue. Okay, now I've built out the entire thing with 4 original pieces of spoken audio output from 11 Labs. You'll see the last pieces are identified with the 04. And you can see that I've added a lot of gaps and spaces in. And, this might not make sense if I actually played this back, but remember to insert the splits from left to right, just to make it easier to drag out the spaces without having to deal with multiple clips being dragged at once. And when you're happy with it, you can stop here, or you might want to add a backing track, like some meditation music or some nature sounds or something like that. So I'm going to pause the recording again, and I'm going to show you a place where you can get that. You're now looking at YouTube Studio, which you can access at studio.youtube.com. And you do need to have a login, a Google login to access this. But at the very bottom of this left-hand menu, there's the audio library. So I would like to find some meditation music, maybe something longer that'll work. So I'm going to filter by genre, and I'm going to choose ambient, and maybe classical, and apply. I'm going to look for longer tracks. So duration, I'm going to say longer than 10 minutes, and apply. And I can preview any of them. I should, for mood, let's do calm. Let's add another filter for mood, calm, because I'm seeing a lot of dramatic and things like that. So now I've got some ambient, and I don't know if any classical is going to come up. I'm just seeing ambient now. But I've got the duration here, and, I can preview any of them. So I don't want to take a lot of time to pick one, but once you've settled on one that you like, it's better to have longer than the duration of your audio than shorter, because you can always trim it at the end. Once you find one that you like, you can download it. And if this is for your own personal use, by the way, you can also use music that you own. If you're not selling it or distributing it online, then feel free to use any music that you own yourself. But I'll click download to get that. You can also look for nature sounds, sound effects. So I might look for, let's say, night. Outside night is an ambiance, jungle atmosphere night. None of these are long enough, so I'd have to kind of repeat them, but you'd also have the option to get these tracks as well. So I'm going to pause again and show you how to combine the two in Audacity. All right, I've used the same process as before to input the audio from the music track that we just found in YouTube Studio. I'm going to put the playhead here. And in this case, I do want it on its own track. And I'm going to audio clip split. And then I'm just going to select the part afterwards that I don't need and just delete it. Now, if I go back to the beginning and play it, and I don't know what how loud this is going to come across for you, so I apologize if it's too loud. I'm going to move the playhead back to the beginning with this triangle pointing to the line to the left and click on the play.
Welcome to this 15-minute guided meditation for a restful night's sleep. Find a quiet and comfortable space where you can relax without any distractions.
Now, I want to check like where the level is the loudest, like right here. I want to check and see if it's overpowering it.
To be fully present in this moment, embracing the serenity and harmony that nature offers.
I can adjust the level right here with this slider. I can bring it down a little bit, and that'll make it a little bit less overpowering. You can just play with that. Maybe put some headphones on while you're editing, because chances are you're going to be listening to your final recording on headphones. So play with it a little bit here until it's sounding about the right balance for you. The thing at the bottom lets you, below the level, lets you, move it to left or right channel audio. I would leave that alone because you probably want that balanced. But once you're happy with everything, you go back to the file menu and you export audio. And that'll bring up the dialogue. You name it whatever you want. And then you have the option of format, and you're probably going to want to do MP3 files. If you're not familiar with any of these file types, then most likely you want MP3. If you know enough about different audio formats that these are meaningful to you, then you might have another preference. But I would suggest MP3. And then, it's ready to export. And then you've got your file that you can listen to whenever you like. It's going to be a little confusing the first time you do it. So my advice would be to use your first time through the process as a learning experience. And then probably you might want to do the whole thing again a second time right after you've created the first one. And then, you can compare the two tracks that you output and see which one you like better. But that is the process in a rather large nutshell. It is something you will get better with over time, but everything you've seen is free to use, and there are paid options all along the way. But you can make a very good guided meditation, relaxation, or focus, or creativity, or whatever you want to work on for yourself, and it can end up sounding very professional and polished. So I hope you'll give it a try. I would love it if maybe we could start sharing a library of these with each other. And if that's of interest to you, reach out to me with that or any questions that you might have about the entire process. You can listen to my finished meditation audio by visiting this link down here, drdan.tiny.us/meditation. I'd like to thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you found it useful. I know that there was a lot of information contained in it, especially if you consider the PDF file, but give yourself the time to maybe watch it again, go through the PDF at your leisure, and try the different steps also at your leisure until you're comfortable with the whole process. I think you will find that after a little practice, you will be able to create a really effective and helpful guided meditation audio that you can use and maybe even make some for some of your friends. Again, I welcome your comments and questions or even sharing some audios that you created at the email address down here. And finally, just want to say thank you once again for watching.